Imagine a world of blistering heat, where the sun reigns supreme and the sand burns through your sandals. Now, imagine reaching into a giant clay dome and pulling out a bowl of ice cream. This isn't a fantasy. This was the reality in Persia over 2,400 years ago. They didn't have electricity. They didn't have Freon. They had the Yakhchal. These massive, majestic, dome-shaped structures were architectural masterpieces of thermal insulation. With walls meters thick, made of a secret mortar called saruj, a blend of sand, clay, egg whites, and even goat hair, they defied the desert gods. During the freezing desert nights, shallow pools of water would evaporate and cool, turning into ice. This ice was then hauled into the Yakhchal, where it stayed frozen all through the scorching summer. It wasn't just for the kings, it was for the community. A sustainable, zero-energy miracle of physics that we struggle to replicate today without a massive carbon footprint. Moving across the globe to the heart of the Aztec Empire, we find a civilization that literally built their breadbasket on top of a lake. Faced with the challenge of feeding a massive population in the swampy Lake Texcoco, the Aztecs didn't surrender to the terrain. They invented Chinampas, artificial islands or floating gardens. By layering mud, decaying organic matter, and aquatic plants into woven reed frames, they created the most fertile soil on the planet. These roots reached directly into the lake water, providing a constant, self-regulating irrigation system. While modern industrial farms struggle to get 2 harvests a year, the Chinampas produced 7 harvests. It was a zero-waste ecosystem where fish provided nutrients and the plants filtered the water. It was the ultimate permaculture, destroyed only when the lakes were drained for urban sprawl. Imagine if our cities were built on these green, floating lungs today. Back in the arid plains of Persia, the heat was an enemy that never slept. But the ancients knew how to catch the very breath of the earth. Enter the Bojir, or the wind catchers. These weren't just towers. They were sophisticated, passive cooling systems that put our modern air conditioners to shame. These tall, elegant shafts were designed to capture even the slightest breeze from any direction. The tower would funnel the hot air downward, often passing it over underground water channels called qanats. This interaction used the principles of evaporative cooling and pressure differentials to drop the temperature inside a home by over 10 degrees Celsius in seconds. No hum of a motor, no electricity bill, just the silent, graceful movement of the wind harnessed by stone and genius. It is a technology so effective that modern green architects are studying these ancient towers to save our warming planet. In the parched Nazca Desert of Peru, where rain is a myth, life shouldn't exist. Yet beneath the feet of the people who drew the famous Nazca lines lies a secret: the Pukios. These are spiral-shaped aqueducts carved deep into the earth that look like portals to another dimension. By carving these spirals, the Nazca people used wind pressure to push underground water through tunnels to their crops. No pumps, no fuel, just the raw physics of air and earth. Many of these are still functioning today, 1,500 years later. Meanwhile, in India, the Great Stepwells, vast, multi-story underground palaces of water, served as community hubs and cool retreats. These weren't just wells, they were architectural cathedrals built to capture the monsoon rains and keep them from evaporating. And in the rose-red city of Petra, the Nabateans mastered the flash flood. They carved channels into the very rock to slow down and store every drop of desert rain, turning a wasteland into a city of fountains. We often think of nanotechnology as a product of the Silicon Age. But the ancients were playing with atoms while we were still figuring out the stirrup. Take Indian Wootz steel. Over 2,000 years ago, blacksmiths in India were producing steel so advanced that modern electron microscopes have found carbon nanotubes within its structure. This steel was legendary, strong enough to slice through silk and flexible enough to bend without snapping. Then there is the Lycurgus cup, a Roman masterpiece from the 4th century. It's a cup that changes color. If you light it from the front, it's green. Light it from behind, and it glows blood red. Why? Because the Romans infused the glass with nanoparticles of gold and silver. They were manipulating matter at the molecular level to create a sensor that modern scientists are now trying to use to detect viruses. Finally, we look at the very ground beneath the Roman Empire. Our modern concrete is lucky to last 50 years before it cracks and crumbles, contributing massively to global CO2 emissions. But Roman concrete? It's been sitting in the salty Mediterranean Sea for 2,000 years, and it's actually getting stronger. For centuries, we didn't know why. Recently, we discovered their secret: volcanic ash and lime clasts. When a crack forms in Roman concrete, water reacts with these lime clasts to create a mineral called calcium carbonate, which literally heals the crack from the inside out. It is self-healing, carbon-reducing, eternal stone. We are the advanced civilization, yet we are surrounded by crumbling bridges while the Roman Pantheon still stands proud. Perhaps the path to our future isn't just about looking forward, it's about remembering the giants whose footprints we are still walking in. Hove lesson. The ancients didn't have computers, but they had a deep harmony with the laws of nature. We aren't necessarily smarter than our ancestors, we just have louder tools. Maybe it's time to stop trying to conquer nature and start remembering how to dance with it.